What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm live stream specials. You know it, baby. It's time to meet the family. And if you're just joining us, we've been rolling through and bringing on all sorts of Fantasy Alarm's finest just to kind of get a little rundown, not just about the work that they do, but also what's going on with them in their personal lives, how they came about to join us here in the Fantasy Alarm, what they're doing to socially distance themselves. And we're traveling through space and time today, and we're hitting warp speed and getting over on Justin Fensterman. What's up, Fensty? Oh, dude, I'm so excited for this one.
Dude, Howard, I feel like this is just another everyday conversation. You and I talk on probably an average of 2.5 times per day, I'd say, in a 7-day week. So thank you so much for having me once again.
Dude, how great are these, man? These are a ton of fun. I see that you are being sequestered from the rest of the world in a time warp right now. Do you know actually how to do the time warp, Fensty?
Wow, the dance?
Yeah.
From the Rocky Horror Picture Show? I do not. I know the song, though.
All right, well, it's just a jump to your left, and then it's a step to your right. And you put your hands on your hips and bring your knees in tight.
Oh, I can't do that. I can't do
that. Pelvic thrust. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Ooh, I could drive you would say, yeah.
The knees, Howard, you don't want to kill me here, okay?
Try not to. Listen, this is a long day for the two of us here as well, because not only are we doing a little meet the family here, but this whole conversation is going to end up getting extended into Alarm After Hours tonight at midnight on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Do you think, is it possible? Can the world handle 3 hours of Howard and Fensty?
Well, they have no choice at this point, so you just got to be along for the ride. But why wouldn't you want to handle us for 3 hours? We're two cool menches. Come on, dude.
Two cool menches. Two live Jews here, baby. Come on.
That's how it works. So why not? The more the merrier. And just excited to get to hang with you and FA Nation all day, all night.
All day and all night. I see that you have mentioned it up for us a little bit here. Did you just finish watching like Uncut Gems or something like that? That we're getting the chest hair and what's the jewelry there, man? Is that a Mr. T starter set underneath?
It is not. It's a silver chain that I got in Israel with the chai completely from Israel. Shocker. I am Jewish. I did go to Israel. Birthright, free trip. All adds up. But also a New York Knicks silver charm as well that I got. Howard, when thinking about, people want to meet me, know who I am. I'll tell you this. If there's one thing I do not like, undershirts. I hate undershirts. They don't make me comfortable. I feel like a mummy. I've got a big chest. I just got to let it out.
I got a decent sized chest too, but I gotta cover it up. I can't show this off.
Yeah, I don't give people the choice, unfortunately. So that's why me and undershirts, we don't match.
Back hair?
Yeah, a ton of it. Come on. Where do you think all this went?
So it slides down your head and it goes down your back. So when you're wearing like a basketball jersey, are we seeing like tufts of back hair coming out there also? Are you like a Sasquatch?
Not a lot, not like Chewbacca or anything like that, but you see a little exposure. So it's like in DFS, you want to get a little exposure to certain players. When I'm wearing my NBA jerseys, and I've got about 30 of them, yes, you get a little exposure to the back hair.
We need a little exposure to the Clippers for you and maybe shave that off. Not the Los Angeles Clippers. The Barbers Clippers, man. Just kind of zzz.
And I was so excited that you just said the Los Angeles Clippers, too.
Really? Do you want me to talk hoops? Like, what is? You know what? Actually, we can actually throw down a little bit of hoops because I'm actually going to ask Jim Bowden this on the Fantasy Alarm Show, which we're going to do, later on at 5 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM. But talk to me here, because the one thing that I started seeing all these updates about all these kids who are declaring for the NBA draft. Now I know the draft is set for June 25th. We're like fingers crossed, hoping that. June 1st for maybe some baseball. So seems like we could be on par for the June 25th NBA draft. Do you think a lot of these kids, are they kind of jumping the gun by declaring for the NBA draft? It almost seems like not so much a panic, but like, you know what? I better get my check while I can if I get drafted.
I feel like that's how it is anyway. I feel like there are a lot of, and this is the problem when you don't allow high school kids to go right to the NBA. They're going to go to a college program. You're going to recruit, pay them under the table. And then you're going to try to build around that player. And all of a sudden, after a year, poof, they're gone. So I think that's a universal problem that they face every single year, because nobody wants to be in that situation where they do their justice by staying the 4 years at the program that helped them, that propped them up, and all of a sudden, their senior year, that final game, they tear their ACL. You can't predict injuries, but especially in the time that we're at right now, presently in this world, you have to be thinking that it's at a more alarming state mentally, that they got to get up to the pros.
How many of these kids are like kind of screwing themselves a little bit, just in the sense that no NCAA tournament, they had to cancel a ton of conference tournaments. So like the smaller programs really don't get as much exposure as they would on, let's say, if they were like, a 12 or a 13 seed mowing through and all of a sudden like hitting the Sweet 16. Those kids are getting a little bit more attention that they're not going to get.
Howard, imagine 10 years ago when Stephen Curry was at little school Davidson, and he didn't get to have that game versus Georgetown that he took over. And he didn't get to have those other games that made every single NBA team look at this guy and moving right up the boards, that he's hitting every shot he's taken. That was the tournament that helped build these guys up. And some of the guys who are especially looking for their draft stock boost, they can have a horrible regular season. They hit that tournament, they win 1 or 2 games, and it's because of them for the most part. That lifts them up in the NBA. I don't want to say around, but a good amount of picks, and that's what it did for a guy like Stephen Curry.
I had no idea he went to Davidson, small little school in North Carolina. I actually applied and got accepted to Davidson. I almost went there.
Really?
I'm not making it up. Davidson College and Carleton College in Minnesota were like these two like rando schools that just kind of seemed really interesting to me. And so I applied to both of them, got into both, and still didn't go to either. But Davidson, that would have been entertaining, although I was at school long before Steph Curry, so I never would have enjoyed that.
Yeah, not too long, though. You're a young guy.
So let's talk, Fancy. Let's get to know Justin Fensterman. Cute little mensch like you off the mean streets of Great Neck, Long Island. I mean,
close. Oyster Bay, but close.
Oyster Bay. Oh, well, there you go. So we can talk about Billy the Kid and Billy Joel and all that fun stuff there. The whole Cold Spring Harbor album, I'm sure you could sing it for us right now, couldn't you?
No, the Stranger album, not Cold Spring Harbor, though. I know. I'm a terrible Long Island guy. I know that.
Right? They might just pull your Strong Island card. You might not be able to purchase a Monte Carlo SS or Drakkar Noir if that's the case.
Wally Serbiak hates me right now. Let me just say that. Fine, Jason Marquis. Okay, he hates me too.
Wally Serbiak. Holy crap, dude. What a pull. What a pull. Like, we used to do that on the Alarm Show all the time. You, me, and Bode, we used to sit there and just bandy about all of these, like, old school names. It's not even that old school, but, like, a name that's, like, 15 to 20 years old of, like, a role player.
Yeah, you're like my little Ryan Klesko.
Oh, Klesko was a little bit more big time. He was a little bit more big time.
All right, fine. You're my little Sidney Ponson.
Ooh, well, now you're just saying I'm fat. I would have said more like, you're my little Alex Cintron, or maybe you're like my little Joey Gathright. But if you want to go with Sidney Ponson, thanks a lot, dude.
What about Shane Spencer?
How about Shane Spencer?
I knew you'd like that. I knew I'd win you back from that one.
There you go. There you go. So let's talk about it, dude. So you grew up in Oyster Bay, Long Island, and I mean, I spent many a year in Long Island too. So I know what that's all about. Sports obviously had to have been like a huge thing. Did you play a lot of sports growing up, or were you more of like, I really want to be the announcer here?
So I knew at a very young age, somehow at the young age of 5 years old, that I wasn't as athletic as some of my other friends in kindergarten. That's okay. Trust me, I'm sure a lot of people want to drink whatever beverage while hearing me talk.
I have to listen. This is the first Red Bull I've had in 3 days. Get
Good
this.
For you.
Well, we ran out of the house and it's a non-essential, so I had to wait until like my wife had to go and like pick up some food or some toilet paper for us. So,
wow,
it's my first one in 3 days. I don't know what's going to happen with this right now, dude.
So while we're finding that out, I'll just explain that, yes, I knew at a very young age that, guess what? I wasn't the athlete. I wasn't going to be the best in athletics in any sport. I was afraid when I played Little League Baseball, I would pray that I would walk because I was almost afraid to swing the bat. I wish I could have played as designated fielder. I was good second baseman, but when it came to hitting, I got beamed a lot when I was a kid, and I didn't want any part of that anymore. So I really, at a really young age, I wanted to be a broadcaster. And that's really what it was. When my friends would play video games, I'd sit there and be the broadcaster. I wouldn't want to play. I would just want to talk and do that whole challenging broadcast. I just had a lot more fun with it.
Which, yeah, I mean, listen, I had a great time, as far as broadcasting goes, or being even like the stats guy. But you're a big dude. I mean, were you always a big kid?
Yeah, I mean, when it came to height, yes. When it comes to my weight, it's like a yo-yo throughout my life. So
yeah, I'm not worried about that. We're not Oprahing you here and
okay,
match that. But like, did you play football at all? Or did mom just not sign the permission slip?
I did not play football at all. I was a varsity bowler. I was a 2-year captain of the varsity bowling team.
Really?
Yep.
Really? Oh, I think I might have known. Did you have like the guard on the wrist and everything like that?
I did not. I had my own bowling balls though that had the initials on them. I have one of them with me, and I still use it when I go bowling.
With you right now?
Yeah, you want to see it?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I want to see it.
Give me 5 seconds.
Oh, Fensty traveling through space. All of a sudden, he's like ejected out. Oh.
Little fireball right there.
Wow. Show me the initials. Hold them up to the camera there. JF. Look at that. A Columbia 200.
Yeah, it's about a 12-pound bowling ball. It was good. No tips in it, though, so I had to make the movement myself and everything, like make sure that my arm went straight up so it would have a little spin action on it. But, this is one of the bowling balls I bowled with throughout high school. Fireball. Wow.
What's your average? What's your handicap?
My match average was a 145, which wasn't that high, unfortunately.
I mean, in comparison to what I've seen a lot of other people do, I think that's not bad. 145, where did you rate? You were the captain of your team.
Yes. So and it was cool because I actually had the opportunity to get one of those great sports moments because my school was horrible my first 3 years of high school. My senior year, this one freshman kid came on the team and it made us a ton better. And it was awesome. And we were fighting for third place, which had a pretty nifty trophy. And I was all about it because I just wanted to win something. And it came down to me hitting a spare, the 2 pins together all the way to the right, which was one of the hardest shots for me and the way I threw. And I remember my dad was there, always got nervous when my dad would watch me play sports. So it was one of the biggest pressure situations. I hit the spare, but it wasn't only about hitting the spare. I then needed to hit about 7 or 8 pins after the spare to clinch third place. And I knocked down 9 of them, which was amazing. And I went back. I did the whole Patrick Ewing, type of thing. And that was that. I got the trophy, and then I had to present it right back to the school and the trophy case.
Nothing wrong with that, dude. Nothing wrong with that. I love that.
Yes.
Fancy. Bowl-O-Rama. I had no idea. Well, I think I might have heard this story long ago. Maybe I just didn't believe it. Maybe I thought you were lying to me back then.
No.
So this was what, up through your senior year of high school?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So did you work as like a stats guy, or did you like broadcast games for your school at all? Anything like that?
I wish I got the opportunity, and I remember this. The guy who would normally broadcast the football games, or at least do the announcing, that he was very into doing that job because I tried getting involved. And then I ran into him randomly. I remember in town right after I graduated high school, and he goes, "You want to do sports broadcasting? Why don't you just come to me and say, hey, can I announce one of the games?" And I said, I did. And I don't understand where the communication breakdown was. So I never got to do anything in high school, which is a big regret I had because it would have given me the jump start that I needed to get. I was ready. I just needed reps and experience. And it was in college where I had to really hit the ground running to make sure that I had enough experience when the real world came calling 4 years later.
All right. Well, you're at American University. That's where you went. I knew that one because my wife also went there. So through college, you were into the broadcasting aspect. You got involved in that freshman year, right away.
No, unfortunately, because there were other people who were doing the broadcasting. American University is a Division I school, which was great. So they had streams of the games with play-by-play on their site for parents of the athletes, and also on one of the real hardly known local stations that they had. So I didn't get to do that until junior year, where I made the big decision, because I had started interning at the end of my sophomore year, and it was great. It was for a TV station on Long Island, News 12 Long Island. Great internship. I got to edit right away. I believe it was when Roger Clemens first came back and he started striking out everybody. And the first day on the job, I had to put an entire 30-second video montage together for all the Roger Clemens strikeouts. I had no idea how to do it. Had to figure it out. That was the big thing. After that, though, I made the decision I was going to go abroad to Australia, and I decided against it because I realized that I needed to get more into my career. I needed to force myself through doors, get any opportunity I can get, because all of a sudden, 2 years, that's all it is until the real world comes calling. So I decided not to go abroad to Australia, which stunk, but at the same time, got internships, and I had 5 internships in college. While junior year, because everybody else went abroad, I actually then got to fill in and start doing play-by-play for volleyball, field hockey. I got to do it for men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball. I did it for radio. I did it for TV. And I had my own sports TV show on the American University Television Network as well.
Nice. See, and I was just going to ask you, like, what would Fency have done going to Australia? Because you're obviously not going to Australia to study broadcast, so you're going to Australia to explore yourself a little bit, you're right? And like
100%.
That kind of feel. So tell me, man. If you weren't involved, if like sports weren't your thing, and you were to start seeking outside, where would you go?
If sports wasn't my thing, and you want total if broadcasting wasn't my thing, or if sports wasn't my thing?
Yeah, just imagine the fact that, like, okay, so you said, you know what, screw the internships. That's not going to be my focus. I'm going to put on a pair of Birkenstocks. I'm going to smoke a ton of weed, and I'm going to go hang out in the bush in Australia for a little while and do that kind of a thing. Like, what kind of a direction do you think your life would have taken?
I think I would have stayed involved in the industry. I think I would have ended up going more into the children's television and children's programming. I've always loved working with kids. I was a day camp counselor. I ran a reading program at the public library when I was in high school called Book Buddies. It was a good time. Read a book and then did an arts and crafts project that was a theme of the book. So it was a lot of fun. And I always wanted to go into children's programming and maybe even teaching. That would have branched off to being a teacher, like first or second grade teacher. I'm a goofy guy. I'm still a kid.
Can you give me a little bit of the dinosaur rap from Mrs. Doubtfire? Like, that's now all of a sudden I'm thinking Fensty dressed like Mrs. Doubtfire.
In the Brontosaurus line. Da, 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 Thank you. Keep going. I can't go on.
Because I'm coming back as oil.
I'm a raptor. That's the fun of it, man. That's how I've always been. It's what you see is what you get. And I'm still the same kid that I was, when I was younger. In terms of interest, in terms of passion, I've not really changed that much. Maybe my wife and family members wish I was a little bit more mature, but that's not me. I'm not mature. I'm immature.
But I kind of find it interesting. You're thinking about like television programming for kids, stuff like that. Did you ever have like the urge to teach? Be like that third grade teacher?
Yes.
My third grade teacher was a dude.
You know what? I did. And that's why, to transition to what I'm doing now, that's why I love being part of the site, is because I feel like I could still get to do that. I could still teach. I could still motivate. If it were up to me, I would love to be a motivational speaker. That's something that I've always been doing. It's, hey, if you're down, you need advice, I'm here for you. You want a motivational speech? If that's what you need to get into it, I'm a very passionate person. I wish I could do that more.
So your energy level growing up, high school, college, it's always been this big, this intense?
Yep. Yep, that's why when we talk and everybody's told me, when you're hosting, you come across, you bring a lot of energy, and it's like, try to take it back, and I'm like, I'm trying, but this is how I've always been.
Yeah, no, listen, I get it. You and I, we do Alarm After Hours together, and it's, I totally hear that. And when I heard you guys on the podcast doing the family times, I was like, yeah, okay. I know that you were always told, when I started doing the show over at Sirius, was told about energy. When I first started doing the alarm show in the afternoon, and you and I first started really working together, it was very much, it was like, you got to have that energy up there in order to, to be able to do it. I think now that sports are kind of on hold right now, I think everybody kind of craves that energy. So I love it, man.
Right, and that's the thing. Again, it's like, I want to be very conversational, but I sometimes need to realize that if I'm at a level 1,000, most people are at the level 100. So especially now during this time, I'm trying to keep the shows a little bit more conversational, bring people in, because we just want everyone to hang out with us. That's what it's all about right now, being socially distant, but still hanging out anyway.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, listen, I was sitting there talking about I told you about the draft that we did on Friday night, and all of a sudden everybody else started leaving the Zoom meeting, and it was me, Jeff Manns, Brad Evans, John Hansen, and Lisa Ann, and the five of us stayed in the Zoom meeting. And I mean, it was hysterical. It was not safe for work. It was not safe for family friendly radio. But meanwhile, it probably would have been the highest rated on demand episode of draft analysis if they just piped in our conversations there.
I can only imagine so. And it's just, again, it's we're trying to have that fun. There are certain things that we can't bring beyond the curtain, but at the same time we try to still have that fun. And especially when you and I get to hang out on Mondays, it's always hilarious. I mean, you and I got to work together on a Fantasy Alarm for years, and it would always just be fun. We'd sometimes be making faces at each other on the camera, like something like that. That's just the fun of it.
Absolutely. Listen, you know what? I mean, our calls every morning, we would sit there, we'd talk about the show, we'd set everything up. 100%, dude. I mean, I love it. The fact that you and I have gotten to work together for so long now has been phenomenal, man. I mean, I feel blessed to have been able to work with you as often as possible. And I think that it's without trying to sound trite or cliche, it is a beautiful relationship that we have. And I think that it's a great friendship, and it'll definitely stand the test of time, even through the coronavirus here.
100%, even if you sneeze on me.
So, now I gotta, even just the thought of that, man, even just the thought of that it's making me have to sanitize myself. So what are you doing with yourself nowadays? Now, obviously, you're planning the show plans for Monday through Friday night, and that's, that takes a lot. Having to create something out of nothing. But let's face facts, Fensty. When you're not on the air, there's a lot of hours in the day to fill, and I mean, you can take show prep only so long. So what are you doing with yourself? What are you and Mrs. Fensterman doing? Are we gonna have a baby Fensty because of the coronavirus?
Well, I don't know. You just never know with that at this point. Don't know what to think about anything anymore.
I want to know. Have we laid off birth control?
What's that?
Have we laid off birth control?
What do you think?
I don't know.
See, there's certain things that you can and can't do right now. That's the problem. You got to be careful.
You want to have a baby right now?
Right now? This second? No. This second, no.
I love that.
Do you want me to have one?
No, I want you to adopt a dog. That's what I want you to do.
Okay, so that also would be interesting as well. But again, we don't want to go out so much, including to try to find the dog. So that's kind of slowing that process down just a little bit. But what am I doing? It's a lot of walks. I try to go on a 1.5 mile walk every day, not really even going to someplace. Sometimes I stop and I get my coffee. I see how many people are in the store. I try to be sensitive, but I try to still have 10% of a normal life. And I try to, go on a 1.5 mile, 2 mile walk just to even think. It's good to clear my head. A lot of people are working from home. I actually just started working from home about 6 months ago, not even 4 or 5 months ago. Right. And it has been a major transition. And there have been days where I don't lift my head for 8, 9 hours. And before you know it, where's the time gone? But I've noticed, Howard, and you've worked from home for years. If you do that every day, you reach a certain day where your brain just doesn't function. That's why I need those walks. And now more than ever, I still have to take those walks. I still have to keep as much of my routine together as humanly possible.
Yeah, I would. I crave those as well. I'm actually, the broken foot has kept me off of that, and I feel like I'm just getting fatter by the second. Not having any exercise right now, which is driving me nuts. So, that's good. That's good. So, do you take walks with your wife? Is your wife at home also now? Is she?
Yep. She's 2 floors up doing voice therapy. She's a speech language pathologist. So it's been a lot of teletherapy lately.
Oh, that's sweet. Can she fix this one for me?
She can probably. It's not going to happen in a week or 2, but I'd say about 8 months, you'll be on a good path.
Excuse me, Mrs. Fensterman. I was just wondering if you could fix this lateral S of mine.
She will take that challenge on, let me tell you. She will.
Man, I wish you had like a broom handle. You could hammer the ceiling right now. Bring her down here. Bring her in. Grande had we had a baby Orion visit from him during yours. Well, I guess you brought your bowling ball, so right. I guess that kind of makes
this as well. I can't sew, but somehow I sewed this back in 7th grade and
home ec class.
Yeah, home ec class. It looks more like a frisbee than a basketball, but it's something, a relic from the past.
Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive. Arts and crafts with Justin Fenster. So, all right. So you take your walks, and that's great. A little 1.5 mile walk kills, an hour?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. What else do you do with yourself? Come on. Are you doing more cooking? Are you reading books? Are you binge watching TV shows?
A lot of my days, ever since we all got quarantined, it's been the walks. It's been the shows. It's been the NBA chats on fantasyalarm.com. Shameless plug right there for those, because I like talking hoops with people just like I like talking hoops with myself. So it's a win-win for me on the chat. And also it's been old school video games. I've literally my Super Nintendo out from the closet. I've taken the Nintendo 64 and I play a different system every night, different games.
All right. Favorite system?
Favorite system is the Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo. Favorite game?
Favorite game on Super Nintendo is this game called Turtles in Time. It's a nice side scroller where you're beating up members of the Foot Clan, you beat up the enemies, you beat up Shredder, and it's an awesome game, and you can play with up to 4 people.
It's a Ninja Mutant Turtles game, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
So Turtles in Time.
Shredder.
That's right.
Who do we know looks like Shredder?
I don't know anyone who looks like Shredder, but Adam Ronis looks like Splinter, the rat.
Oh, Splinter. That's what it was. Shredder, Splinter.
Yeah.
Templeton.
Listen, he's just like Splinter, filled with knowledge, filled with pride, filled with a competitive vibe to him. But like Splinter, he's a rat.
Yeah. Talk to me. All right. So this whole rivalry you got going on, talk to me about the beer pong with Ronis. How is it that you and Ronis, all of a sudden, when you guys were paired together for Alarm After, I thought you guys were buddy-buddy. Didn't you work with him a bunch?
No.
No, you never worked with him.
I didn't. And that's the thing. Everybody that remembers Adam's morning show and working with Adam back in the day on Sirius XM, I never worked that show. Our paths never really crossed. Oh. When Craig Mish was out, he would fill in from time to time or whatever on the Sirius XM Fantasy Baseball show back in the day. But outside of that, never really worked with the guy. And it's very interesting because before we got paired together, I went up for the flex drafts up in New York there, and I actually talked to Adam back in August. And he asked me, he's like, so what do you think of NBA wagering? I had done a little bit of it, but I said that I want to commit myself more to it. That was a goal for 2019, commit more to the wagering so I could just be involved in it more, learn everything from the tricks of the trade from the beginners to how to read the lines to how to look at line movement. And he talked about it, and he said how much he loved it. And so this months later, it's funny, we're on a show talking about our bets of the night that we made. And just thinking, so no, I mean, look, Ronas and I, we go back and forth. I mean, with games that we've tried to create on Alarm After Hours, when he loses, he cries collusion. Or he puts an asterisk next to my victories a lot of the time. My whole thing with him, because I love the guy, I just want him to know that, hey, look, you're going to lose sometimes. It's going to happen. Whether or not you're happy with it doesn't matter. You're not going to win every little thing. And there's no list of BS excuses why that you lost. You just lost. You were worse than I was on a given night. Deal with it. That's what I'm trying to come across with him. That when he loses, hey, we all lose. Sometimes you just lose. Even Adam Ronas.
So he's super competitive and he's a sore loser. Okay, I got it. I got it.
He knows it. He knows it. Look, when I lose at something, because here's how you know, Howard, you can't just take it on the chin and be like, okay, yeah, I lost. It's like, oh, who has won more bets this year? You go back to that. I'm not going to read right into that. You think you're going to try to create a diversion on me? I'm a defensive player. I see a screen coming out of the corner of my eye. I'm going to back up and let you run into your player because I know that screen is coming. So with that, kind of how I do it with him. I don't care what your overall record is. We're talking about the matchup right now. When I lose, I will admit that I lost. When he loses, he'll admit that he lost. But I just try to make sure that he knows that you're going to lose sometimes. It's going to happen.
He does not take it well.
No,
he does not take it well.
And he's very competitive. Every league, everything that he puts his name on, and this is one of the things I respect most about Adam Ronas, he put everything that he puts his name on, no matter what league, no matter which league's for, NFBC or Labor Town, it doesn't matter. If his name is on it, he's going to compete until the very end. I offered to come up to New York and watch a playoff game with him if we get our NBA season back in the day. And I said, what if I came up on a Sunday night? We'll tell the listeners about it. They'll come meet us at whatever restaurant. We'll just sit, watch the game, talk hoops with him. He's like, can't, man. I have fab.
I mean, at this point right now, it could be true. NBA playoffs and fab budgeting are all going to be overlapping.
Right. And so when he said that, I thought he was joking. I asked him again on the air, and he goes, bro, I already told you I have fab. And I'm like, oh, you weren't joking. Okay, but that's Adam Ronas. If he's in a league, if he's in a contest, he's going to do everything he can to justify that he did everything to try to win that contest. And that's what I respect about him.
No doubt. I love it, man. I like this. We're gonna pit you guys against each other a lot more in the future. I'm guessing this is gonna be a
spoiler. It's gonna happen.
This is a rivalry to cultivate. This is like a rivalry to cultivate without question. You've got old school, the OG Adam Ronas, and Fensty on the block here. Look at you. Look at you. Folks at home, we're broadcasting live here on Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook. So if you have a question, anything you want, anything's on the table in these. Whatever you want to ask Fensty, by all means do it. And we actually do have a question here for you, Fensty. Cheyenne Bailey chiming in over on Periscope. Wants to know if something ever happens to her and Ryan, her husband, will Fensty raise my kids and take over her fantasy teams?
Cheyenne, from what I know from Cheyenne, she has a few kids. Now, I am not a parent just yet, so I don't have the experience factor, so I would be a rookie. But if you are willing to put that much trust into Just, then I like it. And that's totally fine. As for your fantasy team, Cheyenne, you are a dedicated listener. You are a loyal subscriber, and you're a great friend. And I will help you with your fantasy teams all day long. And your kids as well.
I mean, she's talking about just taking them over outright. Cheyenne, you're safe with us. Absolutely.
Very much
Trust in Just. Bender's got your back. We could probably come up with a whole mess of other different expressions, right?
100%.
100%. Shout out to Chris Cox, who's watching over on the old YouTube. Shout out to, Steve Park, Adam Lorber, Trevor Ray sitting in the room right now. Al Williams in the room. Oh, Rick Piacenti immediately chimes in. But will Fensty take care of Rick's kids?
I mean, I technically take care of one of his kids on Friday night when they're hosting with Jen, right? Does that count as hanging out? I mean, sometimes I think Jen is more the babysitter when it comes to us because I'm just all over the place and she has to keep me in line. But doesn't that count for something?
No, I don't, because I do feel that she is the babysitter on Friday nights for you. And I feel that, yeah, that doesn't count. That's her taking care of you, Fensty.
Well, we take care of each other. We're family. That's how it works.
All right. Well, there you go, Rick. Then Fensty, again, another trust in Just.
That's right.
Oh, Fensty. All right. So talk to me now. We're moving through. We've gotten as far as college. You were doing all the broadcasting. Did you start at SiriusXM right after college?
During college.
Oh.
Yes. SiriusXM, I interned at SiriusXM when it was just XM satellite radio before the merger. That's how old I am right there. There you go. Context is king, right? And so when it came down to me graduating, I had applied all over the country for on-air jobs. My resume tape was a B minus at best. I can admit that. It wasn't anything special, but I didn't get any offers. And SiriusXM had given me a part-time offer being a board operator and associate producer, and even helping cut highlights and sound bites in the sports newsroom. And I had nothing else. I had nothing. And at that point, part-time job, I'll take that all day. And I'll treat it like a full-time job so I can advance. And that's what happened. So I worked the day before graduation. The day after graduation, I was at SiriusXM working.
It's like a who's who of SiriusXM in the Facebook room. In addition to Trevor Ray, Quinn McGuire just joined the chat room. He's watching. Mark Kaplan.
Wow.
There's a name from the past.
This is a whole family reunion here.
It is. It's a family reunion. All right. I want 2 impressions here of SiriusXM employees. You ready?
Yes.
Number 1, give me a Nate Lee impression.
Ha! You told me that I have to do more work. Okay, I will do more work, but me! That's who's going to be at the studio late.
And now let me hear your best Matt Deutsch impression.
Howard, it's going to be a great year. We're going to have a great time doing all the work. We're going to give you more shows. It's going to be great, and it's going to be a great 2021 for everyone. Okay, bye.
Wow, that was actually the phone call I had with him just 20 minutes ago.
Look at that consistency.
Oh, shout out to Bob Lung for consistency, right?
That's right.
Why is consistency so your favorite, dude? Why?
Bob Lung's a great guy. He's passionate. He loves football. And I like hanging with passionate people, especially when they love sports and you see that passion ooze out of them. That's Bob Lung right there. And I have a ton of respect for him.
I do. I love it as well. I love it. Bob Lung, definitely enjoy getting him on the show on a number of occasions there. All right. So talk to me here. Let's go out of the SiriusXM family here. Talk to me about favorite guests that you've brought onto shows or favorite interviews that were done. Like, give me some highlights that you were involved in.
I really loved that I got to interview Stephon Marbury a few weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was just going over how the NBA has changed, how he took his career, which was very fractured in the States, went to China, and became essentially the mayor there, became everything there, which is what we were used to seeing from him back in the early 2000s. And I remember watching certain experiences where he made his first All-Star team. And when he was introduced, he put his arms up and went, finally, for his first All-Star game. I loved getting to bring that up and getting to, remind him, because I'm not just going to ask him the usual questions. I'm going to get into personal moments with him. I'm going to try to essentially make him enjoy it too and feel appreciated. So I love getting to interview him. I also got to interview months ago Rick Mahorn, who's on the NBA channel.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, he's a bad boy. So it's those late 80s Detroit Pistons teams. They didn't have really a lot of flashy talent outside of Isaiah Thomas. The reason they were successful was because of how gritty they were. And Rick Mahorn ushered in the bad boy era. That was him. He was the original tough guy. He made Lambeer the next tough guy. And then finally, if I could give one more interview that I've done with. No, okay. Next question.
Okay, no, go. God, now I'm intrigued.
Pat Williams.
No, I'm not really. No,
okay, yeah, I understand that.
Okay, go ahead.
Pat Williams, he was EVP of the Magic. He was there when the Magic won 2 lotteries in a row where they got Shaq. He was the one sitting there when they got the first overall pick for Shaq. Then the next year, won it, drafted Chris Webber, but then traded him on draft day for Penny Hardaway. So he actually was there for that. So it was good getting to talk to him about the Magic back then when they first started to where they've come to now. So those are just 3 interviews that I got to do that. Just I was able to have fun, let my non-existent hair down a little bit more. And it was just awesome.
Like the Marbury one actually intrigues me the most because he was playing as you were growing up and you were probably a teenager when Marbury first jumped into the league, right?
I was 9 years old when he was drafted.
You were 9 years old when he was drafted.
96.
Okay. Did you have hair at 9?
I did, surprisingly.
Oh, I like that. I like
Not
that.
Too much longer after that, though.
We're going to need to see some photos of Fensty with hair. But let me ask you, when you because there's nothing better. I mean, at least I feel this way. There's nothing better when you can connect with somebody who you're interviewing, like on some sort of a personal level here. Did you reach out to Marbury with the sense of like, you watched him growing up? Did you hit him with any moments where he was like, oh, dude, I can't believe you know that?
The all-star moment that I just talked about.
Okay.
Because I remember being, he was doing one interview after another, and I heard the 2 previous interviews. And you just could tell from the 2 previous interviews, they were hitting the topsoil. We talked about this, you and I, 1,000 times, topsoil analysis and all that. They weren't hitting bedrock. I wanted to hit bedrock. I watched all the documentaries, and I told him that. I watched the Random Knicks documentary when he was told by his agent that he was being traded, and he's like, what? Are you kidding me? And the agent's like, well, you're being traded to the Knicks. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. Like, I brought up that moment, and it was good. And I also was honest about Knicks fans that, hey, they're very impatient fans, and that's because they were spoiled with the glory of the 70s and the 90s. So you were hitting both generations. And with that, I brought that up, but the second I mentioned, how are you able to help with the hostile New York crowd? He just went like, ha, 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 ha. He just laughed that off a little bit, but he knows it's true. There's a lot of hostility coming out of New York.
There's a ton of hostility coming out of New York. It's amazing sometimes. It really is.
It is.
So all right, well, damn. So Fensty. So all right, so Sirius XM, and you've been there ever since. You made this transition now going from producer to host. And we were lucky enough to benefit from that transition that you wanted to make with Alarm After Hours. So I'm totally digging on that.
No, and it's a dream come true. Really is. I don't say that a lot, but I've worked really hard to get to this point. And this is what I've always wanted to do. And to be able to do exactly what you've wanted to do since you were 5 years old, you can't even put it into words. And I'm just very fortunate that the Fantasy Alarm family saw my vision where I wanted to go. And I'm now able to not only represent them, but represent everybody, and to everybody as well that wants to do something that they've always wanted to do. You can do it. You have that power, especially in broadcasting now. All you need is an internet account on YouTube, and boom, you can post your stuff for everyone to see. Twitter for everyone to see. It wasn't always like that. But you have to barrel down those doors yourself. No one's going to give you anything, and that's what you have to really learn. And Fantasy Alarm, I remember when making the transition, I had said, hey guys, I want to do more with you. And you guys were able to really help me out. And I'm just very fortunate to be working with you.
Aww, it's the truth. I know. I'm just playing with you, man. I'm just playing with you.
I know.
Nice. It's definitely nice. All right, let's dive into more of the personal Fensty here, because this is what we want. We want everybody to know. Listen, we know the sport Fensty. Like, we know the broadcasting side of Fensty. We know the competitive side with Fensty. Let's get down and dirty here. Let's talk about beyond sports and stuff like that. Now, you're married for how long?
Married for how long? 7 years.
7 years.
Yep.
You haven't itched yet?
I mean, I'm always itchy,
Are you still a chalk play regularly, Fensty?
Yes. And I wouldn't be able to be married if I wasn't one.
Really?
Really.
Really?
Really.
Really?
Really.
What happens when like menopause sets in and you don't even get to come close to being a chalk player? Are you gonna leave your wife, Fensty?
Through doors sometimes, Howard, like I said, and by sometimes I mean all the time.
Favorite music group?
The Beach Boys.
The Beach Boys.
Yep.
How are the Beach Boys your favorite music group?
Because whenever I listen to their music, for the most part, just puts me in a really good mood and makes me feel happy.
Favorite song? By the Beach Boys. Good Vibrations.
Yes.
Not God Only Knows.
That is probably number two. Number two. Yep.
Okay. What about Kokomo? Where does Kokomo rank for you?
Number 3.
No, it does not.
No. Okay. Kokomo, it would be Good Vibrations, I Get Around, God Only Knows, Kokomo.
Really? Kokomo?
Yep.
Kokomo. How many times have you seen the movie Cocktail?
I have the DVD, a ton. By the way, the DVD is a compact disc that you can actually put in your Xbox or a DVD player, and that is a player that plays your compact discs, and there's movies or music on it.
Favorite quote from the movie Cocktail?
Bar is open! I've said that on the show a bunch, too. Like when we're doing our final segment, we're doing Nightcap, I'll often come back and be like, bar is open.
Wow. I did not know this obsession with Cocktail and Kokomo with you.
Yep.
Big fan of Elizabeth Shue dating back to The Karate Kid, I'm assuming?
That's right. Big time. Big time. Although, you know what? I'll say this. When it comes to Allie, I didn't like what she did in the second movie where she literally broke up with him for some football player from UCLA.
Is that the quote? We don't even see her in the movie in the second one, do we?
Hear about it because she broke his car. He's coming back from prom. She damaged the car and broke up with him for some football player at UCLA.
All right. Best looking version of Elizabeth Shue. Was it Cocktail? Was it The Karate Kid? Or Adventures in Babysitting?
I have not seen Adventures in Babysitting. So
on!
No, I haven't.
Come on.
I saw Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Isn't that Christina Applegate, right?
That's Christina Applegate.
Yes.
Totally different girl.
I'd have to go Cocktail then.
All right. So favorite group is the Beach Boys. Favorite song by them, we got it. Kokomo still as a top 4 boggles my mind.
Can I tell you why partially? I'm a big John Stamos guy, and he was on congas during that song.
Are you? So Full House, like Uncle Jesse, he was like your idol?
I loved Uncle Jesse. Come on, he had the best hair. Come on, look at season 1 Uncle Jesse before Stephanie Tanner cut it off in episode 1 of season 2. Before he had to go to Alejandro, his hairdresser, and get it styled with the way he had it for the rest of the series. Season 1, who wouldn't want that mullet?
You're boggling my mind right now. Did you watch the reboot of Full House?
I did. It was pretty painful for the most part.
Was John Stamos in that?
He was in that.
Oh, okay.
Olsen twins were not, though.
Also, okay. Well, you know, they get bigger and better things to do, apparently.
And they made sure that they told the audience that in episode 1.
What did they say? What was the reason?
Episode 1, spoiler, in episode 1 of the series, they say, Danny Tanner wanted to say, Bob Saget said, he goes, your sister wanted to make it too, but she's too busy running her fashion empire in New York. Everything stops. They all just look at the camera for about 3 seconds, and then they start going back to their conversation.
Oh, I need to so the John Stamos. I mean, what did he do anything afterwards? Did your John Stamos love affair continue after Full House?
I saw John Stamos live in concert with the Beach Boys.
Well, okay, you said he was playing. Did he do other songs?
He did not do other songs. From what I recall, he did not do other songs. But I actually got to see him later on in my life, live in concert with them. Like, this was before. When I liked this song beforehand, he surprised the audience. And he came out on stage and did his whole thing.
I need to know what John Stamos is doing right now. What is he doing right now? Is he doing any TV? Is he doing anything? Seriously. I need to know, Fensty. I need to know. He's 56 years old. Still looking handsome as all heck.
Yeah. Not with Aunt Becky, though. She's going through some stuff.
And I had such a crush on Lori Loughlin growing up. It's a shame.
Yeah, it really is. Really is.
Look at this. So he was in the Little Mermaid Live on TV in 2019. Historical roasts. He played John Wilkes Booth. What the hell is this? This makes no sense.
Very far from Uncle Jesse.
Really, very, very far from Uncle Jesse. Just didn't do anything else beyond that. Huh. Look at that. I wonder if my wife has the same obsession with John Stamos, because his career started on General Hospital, apparently.
Really interesting.
Yeah, and my wife was a big GH watcher back in the day.
I bet people didn't know who John Stamos was until that Step Brothers scene where they both loved John Stamos. that got the new generation in right there. And then, look at this. All of a sudden, Fuller House comes out.
All right. So if I've got the Beach Boys as your favorite music group, favorite movie, and don't say Cocktail.
Nope. My Cousin Vinny. Excellent movie. I've seen it 1,000 times. I have the DVD for that as well. Again, that's compact disc that plays movies and music. So I have that.
This is pre-Blu-ray.
Pre-Blu-ray. Yes.
What about giant laser discs? Did you ever have giant laser discs?
No, but I have a couple of VHSs in my house somewhere, but I don't have a VCR.
Is that like your old school porn collection?
Maybe.
Oh, it's mine. My wife knows about mine.
Fensty Jams 2003. That's in there. That's for sure.
Would that be your favorite moments of 2003, Fensty?
All my favorite scenes from the year 2003.
You are my spirit animal right now. You are my Kuno. You are my Kuno.
Yeah, I'll always be your Chuck.
Oh, man. All right. So what else are you filling the time with? Are you binge watching any TV? Yes. You don't sound like you're a TV watcher all of a sudden. Everything else.
I watched The Sopranos for the 10th time in 12 days, finished the entire series.
Ah.
I'm a huge Sopranos guy.
Oh, so you've seen it before and you rewatched it?
Yeah. Every year I rewatch it, the whole series.
Every year?
Yep. And I'll tell you this, I've seen it 10 times all the way through. I didn't see it until 2016 for the first time.
Okay.
So since 2016, I've watched it, the whole series, over 2 times per year on average.
I'm cool with that. Listen, I've never seen an episode of The Sopranos. Wow. I caught bits and pieces here and there, but it's the whole glorifying of that lifestyle that just kind of turns me off from it. Been there, done that, folks, everything like that. Ooh, what do we got here? Ross.
Oh no! What that laugh?
Right. Well, all of a sudden, it's somebody who's apparently a big fan. I just had to drop in here after seeing that Fensty picture. 100% looks like he's going to refinance my home in that Twitter post. You do look very sharp in that outfit.
Dressed to impress.
But here, do you have a pen and paper in front of you?
I do actually.
I'm gonna spell the username here, and then you tell me how to pronounce this. Okay.
Yeah.
RAWCIEMEN.
Rossiman.
There you go. It's
like Celebrity Jeopardy.
It's like wishful thinking for you there, Fensty. Ross Seaman wants to know what your favorite TV show is. So we've already gotten movies. We've gotten favorite music group, favorite TV show.
Well, I'll say one that's currently on.
Don't say The Sopranos.
That's not currently on, so it doesn't count. Currently on Better Call Saul. I was a big fan of Breaking Bad. Binged that quickly, and then Better Call Saul branched out from there. It was essentially about Saul Goodman, the character, and it's been awesome. And for those that haven't seen it, just this season alone that's currently on, it's worth the other few seasons to get to this point because you see the evolution of him. A lot of great characters, a few Breaking Bad cameos as well. It's just a great show.
Should I be binge watching Breaking Bad? I haven't seen any of it.
Yes. I really think you'll like it. A lot of great characters. A lot of impactful characters.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no Breaking Bad, no Sopranos for me. I know people are freaking out. Adam Lorber on Facebook right now. You never saw The Sopranos? What? Sorry, this isn't about me though. This is about Justin Fensterman.
Yes, I also from the past Big Boy Meets World fan as well.
Big Boy Meets World fan. So well, I guess were the Wonder Years too early for you?
So the Wonder Years were a little before my time, but I watched a lot of Nickelodeon and Nick at Night. I was your standard Nickelodeon kid in the 90s, so I watched a lot of Wonder Years. My first CD, compact disc, was the Wonder Years soundtrack.
Everybody's got to have a copy of Joe Cocker's With a Little Help from My Friends. Everybody needs a copy of that. What other big highlights are there? I mean, there must have been just all like 60s, like psychedelic rock stuff.
I got to do a little research, but I just remember it was Jock Jams Volume 1, that, WWF The Music Volume 2, and Offspring Americana. Those were my first CDs.
Can we talk about your wrestling obsession here, Fensty? How old are you?
Right now, 33.
No. How old are you 20 years from now?
I thought you said, how old were you?
No, like, how old are you?
33.
Listen, you've been watching wrestling since you were probably like 5 or 6 years old.
Yes, but I took a hiatus from 2002 to 2009.
Oh, really? And why was that hiatus in place?
Because I didn't like WWE at that point anymore. I didn't like the characters as much. Stone Cold and The Rock were gone. I didn't like the whole transition to what, some of the new characters that were coming up. They weren't developed. They weren't ready. So, yeah. And then when I went off to college, I wasn't in my dorm room watching a lot of TV.
So you didn't turn around to the WCW and the whole NWO and all that whole WCW thing? What's that?
I started with WCW. Before WWF. I know a lot about the history now because I've seen all the documentaries and stuff.
I'm listening.
I first started watching wrestling when I watched WCW in June of 1997.
June of 1997.
Yep.
So that was the Four Horsemen, Dusty Rhodes. You had Sting.
Sting was one of my favorite wrestlers. I loved Sting. At the time, he was essentially he wasn't wrestling. He was coming out from under the ring. He was coming down from the Raptors. He was beating people up, defending against the NWO. And I got really into that. I was a huge Sting guy. And I loved Diamond Dallas Page as well.
Love Diamond Dallas Page.
I did.
All right. So was Sting your first favorite wrestler?
He was.
Sting was your first favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you got back into it. Now, how is it that you go off to college, you don't watch it through college because you're doing your own thing, and then how do you come back to professional wrestling? Is it the soap opera aspect of it? Do you just like watching steroided guys in tights running around slapping each other? Tell me I need to know the obsession here, Feds.
I mean, why I came back was because I started working at Sirius XM and everyone I was working with was watching it. And I said, I remember this from a few years ago. So I started watching it and I got hooked right back into it. I like the promo aspect of it. I like that. I mean, the wrestling matches are cool and all, but I love the promos. I love the calling out the wrestler. I love the making up funny lines and funny sayings. And again, having The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin doing that regularly, it made it to be very entertaining. I love the promo aspect of it, the back and forth promos and the backstage interviewing, more than the matches itself.
Okay. All right. So you like the theatrics?
Yes, very much. I'm very into the theatrics.
And is there any reason that you didn't become like a professional wrestling manager?
I wish that there was a way. I wish that there was a certain way in. But again, I didn't know the path back then. Again, these generations of kids, they now have people regularly talking about how they broke into the business. I had no clue how to do that back then. I don't know where the first thing you go. I knew that MTV had the show Tough Enough, where the winner of Tough Enough gets a guaranteed contract to be a wrestler. But being a broadcaster, for WWE, I had no idea where to even start. Being a manager, that would be awesome. I would love to be the manager, like a Jim Cornette type that has the text stands. That'd be fun. Paul Bearer, stuff like that. Like that. It's very funny you asked me that, because I would love to be a manager.
I would love to see you as a wrestling manager. I think that seems to be an interesting calling. I think we need to start exploring that. We need to talk to the Miz over at our channel at SiriusXM Fan Sports Radio and find out what would be the path to get Fensty in as a WWE manager. Who would you emulate the most? Would you be Cornette? Would you be Paul Bearer? Do you have a character in mind, or would you be Fensty?
I would just be Fensty. Because again, being especially a manager of where I'm a mouthpiece, essentially, where the wrestler's all big and standing there, but he's not talking or anything, or she's not talking and everything, and I could be that person that literally speaks for them and hypes them up even more and make them from 100% to 200%. I think that's where I would best fit in as a manager.
All right, very interesting. We're gonna explore this one as we move forward. We might have to talk about this a little bit more in depth tonight on Alarm After Hours. Tune in midnight tonight. A couple of rapid fire questions here, Fensty. People want to know. Mark Kaplan wants to know, who would you pick, Alex Mack or Topanga from Boy Meets World?
Topanga.
Adam Lorber wants to know, being a sports guy, why did you choose American University, not really the D1 powerhouse?
Well, to be honest with you, because, first of all, my parents went there, so I knew the school really well. And then I saw myself at the school, and then also it was about 65% girls. If we're being honest with each other.
Did you meet your wife in college?
I did.
There it is, right? There it is. And finally, Ross Seaman wants to know, who do you hate more, Michael Jordan for destroying the Knicks every year, or James Dolan?
Oh, James Dolan. That's the easiest question anyone's ever asked me. The guy is the worst owner ever.
All right, well, we got to be nice. He's got the corona, so we can't really.
All right, but you know what? But his ownership, just based off the ownership, awful owner. He's terrible, and I could spend another 2 hours with you talking about why.
Oh, well, maybe we have to address that later on tonight's show as well, because we're out of time right now. Big thanks to Justin Fensterman for bearing his soul here on Meet the Family. Big thanks to Matt Sells, as always, for his production work. Always first rate. Been a pleasure, Fensty. Looking very much forward to tonight's Alarm After Hours show. Everybody can tune in again to hear the second part of this hour-long conversation with me and Justin Fensterman. SiriusXM Channel 210 on Sirius XM 87, midnight tonight. Fensty, thank you so much for joining us today, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Howard, and it's great to know that you and I are more than just co-workers. We're co-people, too.
We are co-people, no doubt about it. All right, sending you a virtual, socially distant hug right now. You're my boy, Blue. You're my boy. That's going to do it for us here. Fantasy Alarm live stream. Thanks so much for tuning in, people. We'll catch you next time.